Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Today we are making a Mediterranean-inspired pesto tuna salad. I sort of dreamed this up based on random things in my pantry, and it's kind of like a recipe of many jars. So we're not heating anything today. You don't have to watch me burn anything. All we're doing is stirring. So all you need for this is a bowl, just a normal tuna salad-sized bowl, all your jars, and like a million fork. So this should be pretty easy. You can pretty much do it from anywhere. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm starting with a can of tuna fish. However, if you are not a tuna lover, don't run away. I'm going to get going. This is the pop top kind, so no can opener to mess with. Now, if you do decide to use tuna fish, the first most important step in tuna fish is to drain the tuna juice into, oh my gosh, here she is. She knows to drain it into a little bowl for a kitty. If you don't have a kitty, you need to go find a kitty to give this tuna juice to, because it's very important. I don't know if you can hear her meowing, but she just came right up. She heard the tuna can open and she came running. All right, so first important step, give the tuna juice to the cat who is begging. Oh my gosh. All right, this was not planned, everybody, but here she is. All right, so now that that's been completed, I want to talk about some alternatives that you can do for tuna fish if you aren't a tuna person. So tuna fish for me is one of those things that I'm never like that excited to eat it. I'm always really glad that it's there, but I'm never like, woohoo, time for tuna fish for lunch. So if you feel kind of ho-hum about tuna fish, this recipe is a good way to make it exciting. However, if you won't go near it, I've got a couple of other ideas. So if you don't want to eat tuna because you are concerned about the mercury in it, like maybe if you're pregnant or something, you could have it with sardines, which are a smaller fish, so they are much lower in mercury. I'm a big sardine fan, but I haven't tried this recipe yet with sardines. So if you try it, let me know. But you could also do it with canned salmon or canned chicken for some of those like convenience animal-based proteins. If you are totally vegetarian and don't want any fish or any chicken, you could also do this with a can of beans. Again, I haven't tried it, but I think it would be delicious. And I would probably pick a softer bean like white beans, cannellini beans, navy beans, as opposed to chickpeas. I just think a softer bean would be delicious in this. So those are some of my ideas for some convenience proteins if you aren't a tuna person. And then if you want to make it a little bit more fresh and exciting, you could also try this like a chicken salad with a fresh chicken breast that you have cooked, not a fresh raw one. But if you're making chicken for the night before, throwing a couple of extra chicken breasts and then cutting them up chicken salad style, I think would also be a really great replacement for the tuna fish in this. Show of hands, who, thumbs down, thumbs up, are you a tuna person or not a tuna person? And while we're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and start putting in, I see some hands up. I hope those means yes, tuna person, and not that you have a question. If you have a question, just unmute. So it looks like we've got some tuna people. So the next thing we're going to do is put in our mayonnaise and our pesto. So when we're making normal tuna salad, you pretty much put in the mayonnaise to get it flowing. I won't use the dreaded M word, but to get it all mixing up together. However, we're going to use some pesto because, as I've talked about before in this series, having one ingredient to really carry the flavor on these really easy things is going to be really helpful. Now, I'm kind of picky about using clean utensil in each jar, so I'm going to dirty a million forks while we're doing this. I'm going to use about 2 scoops of pesto to every 1 scoop of mayonnaise. And I'm not going to measure it because this is just tuna salad. We're not getting too fancy here. So if you've been on these before, you'll see I'll do anything to avoid a dirty dish. However, I'm kind of a princess about putting clean utensils into the jar. All right, so I've got like a, I don't know, ping pong ball size amount of pesto in here. This is a fun squeezy mayonnaise, and I'm gonna do about half as much mayo to pesto. I have found that's been the best moisture to flavor ratio because I really want that pesto flavor to come through. All right, so I'm just mixing it up like normal pesto, normal tuna salad, and you can see it's pretty ugly. So we're gonna stir this up and just get it to the nice consistency. Maybe I wanna add a little more mayo if it's looking a little dry. Maybe I wanna add a little bit more pesto if it's not looking quite green enough. And you can use any kind of pesto that you have on hand. So this is like a jarred shelf-stable one. I've also made this with a fresh pesto that you get out of the refrigerator section. A lot of the like local grocery stores have those, and I've also gotten it at Costco. And that is super delicious. One note is that the pesto tends to be a little bit of salty. So I actually don't end up adding any salt to this recipe just because I think the pesto has enough salt to carry for the whole thing. And then all the other ingredients we're adding are also pretty salty, so I don't really feel like we need any more. All right, so we are stirring up. We just got pesto, mayo, and tuna in here. Now I'm gonna add my sun-dried tomatoes. So one good trick to keep this really easy is to buy sun-dried tomatoes, oil-packed and cut up. I think it says julienne cut on them when you buy them cut up. So that way you don't have to mess with a knife. There's no cutting board to clean. You just take them right out and you just plop them right in. Oh, now I really like sun-dried tomatoes and I think they are fantastic in this. So I'm gonna add a lot, but follow your heart on this one. Alrighty, so I got some sun-dried tomatoes in there. Now I'm going to dirty another utensil because that's where we are today. We're gonna do some jarred artichokes. Now, I tend to buy the smaller ones. I think they're called baby artichokes because, I get this jar open. Ugh, got it, I am strong. Because I don't want to use up the time cutting them up. And they are kind of big and chunky in here, but I don't mind. I would rather eat a big chunk of an artichoke than mess with chewing it up. I mean, not chewing it up. Please chew it up. Than mess with cutting it up. So I'm gonna put a couple of these in here. I have been on a really big artichoke kick recently for no other reason besides that they're really delicious and I love them. And I'm curious if anybody else on here has gone through a big kick of a certain ingredient that you decide that you want to add to anything. Anybody else have one? I can't see the chat, so shout them out.
Chili garlic crisp.
Oh yeah, that would be a good tuna ingredient too. Anyone else have any random ingredient kicks you've been on recently? Just me with the artichokes?
Tammy says she adds curry to her tuna.
Oh, that sounds really good too. Oh my gosh. I've also made a version of this with kimchi and that's been really nice. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do, what?
We have canned banana peppers in the chat as well.
Yum. Oh, that would be good in here too. Oh, so that's the other thing I was gonna say is I'm doing artichokes and sun-dried tomatoes, but you can really follow your heart on this. I think the sun-dried tomatoes are a must. I would not leave those out. But some other things that I have made this with in the past are jarred roasted red peppers, jarred roasted red peppers. You do have to slice those up a lot of times. Banana peppers would be good. I've also thrown in some walnuts before. That was really nice. So you can kind of take your own, follow your own path, choose your own adventure. So the next thing I'm adding is feta. And I really like the feta in here, but I understand that some people are dairy-free. I'm just taking a block of feta and crumbling it in. So if you are dairy-free, I encourage you to find another mix-in that has some of this salty, briny situation going on, like olives or capers, if you want to keep this dairy-free, to give it some of that zingy bite. The feta works really well, but if you're dairy-free, you'll want to find something else to replace that zing with. And then the other, what else was I going to say? I don't know. All right, the next thing that we're putting in is some lemon. So I'm just going to slice a little wedge of lemon here to kind of brighten it up. Pull some seeds out. My goodness, this is a seedy one. Sometimes I use a little colander to squeeze over to keep the seeds from going in. And there's all sorts of tricks. All right, so that's kind of it. I mean, I talked a lot, so it took a little bit longer to make this, but you can whip this up in 5 minutes. So now that it's done, I want to do a really fun 5 senses activity that you can do with kids if you want to, work on getting your kids to eat more things, because I think the 5 senses activity of this is hilarious. And here's why. So let's use our eyes. The eyes is the first thing, and it's pretty ugly, I'll admit. It's not a pretty eat. The next thing that I'm going to use is my nose, and this is where I think the punchline of this whole recipe is, because tuna gets a bad rap for being stinky. So nobody ever wants to bring tuna into the office or on an airplane because they don't want to offend their neighbors. However, this one with the pesto weirdly smells so good. And I just think it's hilarious because who would ever expect tuna to smell good? But this one smells amazing, and it is just throwing my mind for a loop. So that's the smell. Sound, also not great. Feel, I'm probably not going to feel it. And then taste, I can imagine this is going to be really good. I mean, I know it's good. I've had it before, but it's quite nice. So the last thing we have to do with this is figure out what we're going to eat it with. So I really love making some sort of snack plate. So what I will probably do is gather up some crackers and lay them out really nice. Maybe put this in a little smaller bowl and then find some veggie sticks, maybe some carrots and celery and cucumbers, and kind of alternate scooping my tuna with some crackers and, you know, munching on some raw veggies. So I will show you our delicious, beautiful tuna salad that we have going on here. And now that's kind of it. So I want to hear, since I couldn't see in the chat, any sorts of questions, suggestions, ideas that people have. Sophie, can you help me?
Yeah, you're looking for ideas that different people have. We've got a lot of mix-ins for tuna. People have great ideas. We've got celery chopped up finely, grapes and walnuts in tuna salad, onions, dried cranberries, relish, all
These are
kinds
great.
of good stuff.
These are great. I did forget to put the pepper in. I'll do some of that now. That was a great list of things. So thank you all for coming. And I would love to know if you make this, what you think of it. And we'll also drop the survey in the chat at some point. And if you can fill out the survey, that would be awesome. So thanks for coming. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Take care.